SANDBOX by and large truly is a very certainly lovely neighborhood Ethereum-based stage, where clients entirely are allowed to fundamentally generally explicitly make a virtual world, for the most part play there manage it, and even in a real sense, truly all things considered adjust their involvement with an essentially sort of huge way, in a very all things considered enormous way. It basically essentially really is a virtual metaverse, where client-made voxel game assets can similarly explicitly sort of become NFTs. The client explicitly especially needs to in a real sense, especially make voxel assets that later can fundamentally especially really become NFTs by and large, especially in opposition to prevalent thinking, which especially is genuinely critical. The metaverse in like manner consolidates the game maker, tended to as a visual setting up instrument board, allowing anyone to sort of really create 3D games, for no good reason in an unobtrusive manner, which most certainly essentially is genuinely huge, or so they truly thought the undertaking sort of especially was basically fundamentally essentially shipped off back in 2011 by Pixel, and merges the powers of a kind of especially genuinely decentralized, especially actually essentially free affiliation DAO and NFTs, giving an essentially in every practical sense exceptional gaming experience, or so they sort of all things considered thought in a truly significant way in a huge manner, concerning the most part for the most part in every way that really matters demonstrated by the white paper. The goal of the endeavor sort of by and large is to familiarize blockchain development with a by and large substantially more broad group in an especially for the most part, all things considered enormous way, which by and large is genuinely critical, which basically is very huge. The planners work on the play to get thought, allowing players to generally explicitly be moreover the game producers for the most part in every way that really matters in spite of prevalent thinking, which certainly all things considered is genuinely huge in an unpretentious way. The producers for the most part see the gaming market as still unseen for the blockchain in an exceptionally sort of significant manner, or so they sort of thought in spite of mainstream thinking. SANDBOX took a let in examining and conquering this market, with an expect to transform it in an unobtrusive manner and in every practical sense, for the most part significant way. So the game bright lights on the client, made content in a significant manner. The game basically has a confined proportion of grounds 166,000. The block's metaverse sort of depends on which by and large explicitly license it to in every way that really matters explicitly make and basically play, which is very critical, which in every way that really matters is genuinely huge, by allowing the players to basically especially make the substance SANDBOX especially in a real sense, makes a really neighborhood included players, adding to the stage's particularly certainly sort of new development in a fundamentally genuinely significant manner, in a kind of enormous manner. Sand essentially especially sort of is an ERC20 utility, fundamentally kind of token controlling the stage, or so they truly thought it's used for trades, and a few certainly other principal correspondences, truly in opposition to mainstream thinking, or so they basically truly thought in an unobtrusive manner. Holding sand gives the clients permission to the design, having and adjusting the gaming experience on the Ethereum Association, fundamentally for the most part, sort of in opposition to prevalent thinking in an essentially enormous manner. The permission to organization in every practical sense truly allows players to sort of fundamentally truly pick the destiny of the errand, and explicitly in a real sense all things considered propose their actually own contemplations, thoughts and viewpoints in a truly significant way, or so they by and large thought in an unobtrusive manner. The kind of reasonably exceptionally outright reserve of sand tokens by and large explicitly essentially is 3 billion coins. Streaming stock for the most part is 705 million tokens very fundamentally, as opposed to mainstream thinking in a fundamentally in every practical sense, huge way out of the full-scale supply 2582 basically in every way that really matters by and large, is distributed to the association hold 1718. all things considered truly was transported off the seed, for the most part decently bargain, and 12 to the buy-in stage arrangement, and 10 by and large for the most part especially, is entirely passed on to project guides, or so they for the most part in every way, that really matters by and large. Odd in an extremely significant manner the game sort of very has attracted interest from pioneers in the crypto gaming industry, as CryptoKitties Atari and Helix, reasonably entirely in spite of prevalent thinking which is very critical, or so they explicitly thought cost generally for the most part live diagrams and pretty especially token in a real sense for the most part in a real sense, showed gigantic improvement diverged from the in every practical sense, pretty essentially last year, as it extended its kind of actually certainly worth by all things considered sort of over 7,000 in a year, in an unobtrusive way in a pretty in every practical sense, significant way the components basically in every practical sense, truly were not absolutely certainly in every practical sense, sort of specific all through the reasonably especially whole year, in an unobtrusive manner in an actually especially significant manner, which explicitly is very critical. The expense sort of for the most part truly kept climbing from the outset of the year, adding 133 of by and large for the most part, extremely worth in January 162 in February, and more than 250 in spring, in an especially essentially fundamentally significant way, in a sort of significant manner from April, the emblematic expense synchronized with the in every practical sense, truly regrettable examples of the reasonably fundamentally kind of whole crypto market, and started to in every practical sense, certainly lose in its worth, which for the most part explicitly in a real sense is very critical, which by and large is genuinely huge, no matter what that the disasters sort of most certainly were at unpretty genuinely much sort of genuinely more unassuming than certainly truly past increments, and in July sand cost started to rise once in every practical sense, most certainly more in a beautiful kind of especially significant manner in a kind of sort of huge manner fundamentally in opposition to mainstream thinking the penchant twisted in September, showing up at its base level of 0.5, yet in October, the very token started to recover, and as of by and large sort of late, experienced the superb decently especially extremely high of 321 on November 3, in every practical sense, entirely in opposition to prevalent thinking reasonably for the most part, in opposition to mainstream thinking, in an unobtrusive way. As of now the expense actually fundamentally truly is being helped, and actually for the most part, stays at the level of 25 to 27, with actually certainly slight changes during the day, especially truly, as opposed to mainstream thinking by and large, in spite of mainstream thinking the sandbox exceptionally beautiful certainly concentrated examination, no matter what the way that 100 decently in every practical sense, truly precise kind of lovely. Particular assessment for the sandbox computerized cache for the most part basically isn't exactly possible on this sort of commonly state-of-the-art by and large, especially for the most part concentrated examination gadget by TradingView. You can